Hello, everybody. I want to share with you guys today what I believe is the strongest non-clone army based build in Stellaris 3.11. Um, Basically, the idea behind this build is we take advantage of Teachers of the Shroud, latent psionic, and anglers to achieve one of the most efficient pops in the game extremely early that lets us hit broken alloy counts like 300 alloys by year 30. Well, more realistically, like year 33 to 35. How we're going to do it is we're going to take advantage of, once again, the very efficient angler's trait, which gives a really ridiculous amount of consumer goods and food per population. Parliamentary system, which we're going to swap multiple times throughout this game in order to maximize our civics up to year 30. The egalitarian and spiritualist traits to maximize unity and specialist resource output, and xenophobe for some extra pop growth. Of course, we take latent psionic, aquatic, and incubators. Incubators is basically non-negotiable as it is the only high pop growth early game trait. Early game is by far the most important, and once you get into mid and late game, you won't need the extra pops. Decadent is a pretty free um, uh, pick for this build, as we're going to have very happy pops in general, so these decreased happiness won't decrease our resources as much. And unruly for the freest -2 points we can get. And enduring is very important, as we will need strong leaders to make this build work. So I'm going to go ahead and use the settings that most games use, multiplayer games, which is 0.75 tradition cost, most 0.75 technology cost, and of course the new adjusted difficulty technology thing. We're going to leave this on normal with the Commodore difficulty, which is what most multiplayer lobbies use. Now, this build does spike year 35 instead of year 30, which means there is a window for people to attack you. However, if you survive this period, this is undoubtedly one of the strongest builds available in the entire game. So, what are we going to do in order to start? Now, the start is very important. We're going to want to immediately switch to isolationist. We're going to immediately switch to civilian economy for bonus consumer goods. And we are going to go to our species, and we're going to set our default rights to residence and utopian abundance. And don't forget to edit your main species as well, and change the living standards to utopian abundance. What this does is it's going to use extra consumer goods, but it's going to improve our pop happiness and also allow our unemployed pops to produce unity and research, which is far more useful than a lot of the jobs that we're currently employing. So one thing you want to make sure you do is prioritize the Pearl Diver job at the maximum, as this is the most efficient way to make consumer goods, and we're just going to unemploy all our clerks since they're not very useful. That being said, let's go ahead and set up our science ship and our initial technologies. We want to focus on resource first, with a strong emphasis on anything that can help us get to colonial centralization as fast as possible, which is in the society tree. And that basically means branching out our techs as few as possible in order to get the highest chance of getting the tier 2 research of what's it called? Colonial centralization. Colonial centralization. So with that all done, we're now ready to start time. A quick thing we can do is we toggle on crystalline sensors and toggle it back off immediately, and we can see what kind of planets we have available. Now on this spawn, let's go ahead and take a save here. There's so many planets. I'm only going to take my 2 guaranteed worlds. I'm going to assume that's this ocean world and this ocean world here, and no other planets, to show you guys the worst case scenario and how effective this build can be with only 3 planets. Yeah, and with that said, we're ready to start. One thing we should immediately start doing is we want to split our fleets into 3 and send them in all different directions in the galaxy. And the sound is a little bit loud, so let's go ahead and reduce that a little bit. Yeah, basically, the reason we want to split up our military ships is we need to make as many first contacts as possible as soon as possible. And the reason we need to make this many first contacts is our main source of unity throughout the mid game is going to be enmity. If you don't know what that is, you'll see very soon. And if you have noticed, we're not buying minerals yet, and that's because we need to save up 500 energy credits at the beginning of the game in order to buy our psionic governor. Once again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you will see very, very soon. So this playstyle will have a lot of micro. Not all of it is mandatory, but most of it is highly recommended, as the amount of clicks we're going to need to do to keep up with things is going to get pretty high quite quickly. But for now, we can kind of chill, watch our shine ships head out into the galaxy a little bit, and basically what we want to do is we want to see whenever all the ships kind of reach the system that they're bordering unexplored system, we can toggle on crystalline sensors and move them out. Also remember to turn on Veneration of Saints. I should have turned that on earlier, but I just forgot. It basically, at this point, just gives us some free unity. And we're going to start with the statecraft traditions, and we're going to see why we do this very soon, as this will allow us to level up our leaders very quickly throughout the mid and early game. One thing we do want to do is we want to, first of all, prioritize our spiritualist faction, as this is going to be the easiest faction to appease or to make happy, and we're going to want to go to our policies and ban robotic workers. We both don't want robotic workers as a research, so this eliminates the option, and this makes our spiritualist faction happier. Alright, now I'm going to pause to make things easier. Is once you hit 500 energy credits, I already missed it by a month, you want to go here, buy your psionic teacher from the Shroud tunnel, or whatever that's called, and place him as the governor of your home planet, and also as your minister of state. Basically, what this accomplishes is just a high-level governor. Adding some efficiency to your planets is a very good thing. And we're going to want to buy more, more minerals. That's probably a bit too much minerals. We probably want to buy something like 25 to begin with. And one thing you might have noticed is I already, thanks to talking so much, forgot to queue my colony ship, but that's okay. Things don't have to be completely perfect in order to play this build, and we're also going to want to unemploy a metallurgist around this point in order to get more unemployed pops for the extra unity and research. Also, by unemploying extra pops in these jobs that consume minerals, we can save up some extra minerals in order to afford our first buildings, as this build really does struggle with mineral output early on. And I think I want to send this science ship this way, as it doesn't look like there's too much up here, but it could branch out. It's hard to say. Yeah, and once again, with the unemployed pops kind of producing unity and research, we can see we're already producing 74 unity and 76 research, which is quite a bit more than baseline. And if I do hit something like primitives or something, I'm not going to use them. Okay. When this first contact protocols pops up, always select ward off those who would threaten us. This is in case you do get primitives. You can go ahead and invade them and take them over, and basically all you want to do with them is unemploy all of them, and because they have utopian abundance, they'll produce research and unity, which is the most useful resources they can produce until the planet can become more stable. Let's go ahead and toggle crystalline sensors and move our ships farther out. Now, for your second tradition tree, after you finish these two things in statecraft, we need to immediately dip into enmity. And we're actually going to complete the entire enmity tradition tree. And the reason we want to take enmity tradition tree is enmity is going to allow us to produce free unity throughout the kind of past year 10. Also, we're going to want to expand the council as our first agenda that we launch as our choice. And let's continue to move our science ships farther out into the galaxy. Time to start our first research lab as well. And yeah, basically the goal of our early game is we're going to try to produce as much research as our economy can possibly sustain. And this means constantly building city districts and research labs alternating on our home planet. And on our first two planets, the first two buildings we want to build are going to be research labs. And let's go ahead and start to dip into enmity here. Charisma is a great trait. The only traits you want to take over charisma are politician and the one that gives 5% leader EXP. I forget what it's called right now. But yes, that is a better trait than charisma most of the time if you have at least 2 charismatic leaders on your council. And what charisma is going to do is it's going to let us run capacity mining and farming subsidies at the same time as a boost to our economy as soon as we get those research options, which can take a long time if you're not lucky, which could happen, but let's hope we're lucky this game. Um, now, once we get our second colony ship built, we're going to want to reduce our metallurgists to none, and maybe our artisans to less in order to boost our basic resource production. This is a tough one. None of these traits are very good. Maybe prudence, I'm not sure. It's probably not too important. If anybody knows ship combat meta, let me know what you believe to be the better one. I know I could have microed this colony ship better, but once again, when you're talking this much, it is pretty hard to maximize your micro as well as try to explain everything you're doing. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to reduce an artisan by 1, once again to increase the amount of minerals we're receiving, and in order to produce a little bit more bonus research and unity. Yeah, as you can see, the mineral economy is pretty bad. We can just barely afford our next research lab as the first one finishes. But that's about how many minerals you need. Anything extra is producing a bit too much, right? So, anyways, continue to explore into the galaxy. Yeah, it's really important to make first contacts. In multiplayer, it'll be easier because most people will happily share communications with you. Whereas in what we're playing now, which is single player, right? A lot of players won't, or a lot of empires won't share communications with you, which, of course, could make the game a little bit harder if you can't find 6 things to rival. However, in single player, you can go ahead and rival any fallen empires you find, which kind of makes it easier, where in multiplayer, that is usually banned in a lot of the more competitive lobbies out there. So we can afford our second colony ship now, so let's go ahead and start that up. As you can see, we have just enough food and what's it called, alloys at the same time. Once we start this, we can go ahead and unemploy remaining metallurgist jobs. Maybe we leave 1 for a little bit and then reduce that down again once we have enough to build the starbase here. And I'm gonna get a drink of water because I've been talking constantly for such a long time. And why is this empty shells?
Survey complete.
Oh, okay, so we need to go into our policies and disable robotic workers, I believe. But I think I already did, so that's weird. Is there anything else? I have to ban AI or something? Like, I don't even know where that is. Let's close these for a second and see if we can find it. Trade policy, economic policy, okay, whatever. Yeah, it's best to have your factions as happy as possible, but okay, no, okay, now it's just our ruler is not spiritualist. Oh, well, that's pretty unlucky. Your leader will usually be spiritualist. Unfortunately, they're not today, and that's okay. Now, what we're going to want to do is remember to continue toggling this and moving out into the galaxy. We need to find neighbors to rival, and they will be very unhappy with us. But hopefully they don't attack and kill us too quickly, and we can get our free unity. How close is our second colony ship? It's doing pretty good. And yeah, basically with this build, right, so far we've taken advantage of a few things. We're unemploying pops using egalitarian to increase our unity and research. We are using civilian economy and anglers to produce an unholy amount of consumer goods per population. And that is basically what's allowing us to run this very negative economy. Don't worry too much about the consumer goods until it gets close to 0. We can just employ an extra artisan when that happens. This is always a hard one. 5% resources or 20% minerals. Minerals are more limited, so we will probably take the minerals. Oh yeah, and we forgot to start this starbase. And we can fly our colony ship to the planet here as that's building to save some time. And yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of stuff to micro. if you want to maximize this build, including the constant toggling. Apparently, there's good hotkeys for all these things. I have not learned those hotkeys yet, so if you know them, um, the community needs more videos, so maybe you could either share that with me or somebody else, and we could try to make some videos about that. All right.
Log updated.
Yep, just continuing to push out into the galaxy here. I think this is now done, so we can go ahead and colonize this. I have no idea about these events, what is the best option, so I just click something randomly. I don't pay too much attention to the events. If you're knowledgeable about the events, you might know what is the better option there, but not me. Very soon we're going to need to employ another artisan. But yeah, now that our starbase is done, we can unemploy all metallurgists. And we probably want a second artisan. Let me just employ it now in case this goes to 0 when I'm not paying attention or something. But yeah, as you can see, I mean, these 4 workers have been making a pretty good amount of unity so far. We definitely probably at least a tradition ahead of where we would have been without the unemployed pops, which in turn would have only provided us with a few energy credits to spend as clerks. Especially since, as you can see, our stability, 73, is still very good, even with negative amenities, thanks to being a utopian abundance. Oh yeah, and don't forget to survey more systems. I like to just put my science ship on automatic. But yeah, anomalies can actually be a very, very good source of research as soon as your research kind of peaks out. Yeah, a lot of free research from researching anomalies, and there's a lot of other good things that can come from those. Anyhow, this is a tough choice. I am going to take planetary unification, as this unlocks a very important edict for us that lets us boost leader XP. Skipping food processing could be a mistake, but we won't need this much until later. It is nice to have more efficient farmers for now. And I also believe that it affects pearl divers. I think, but yeah. Anyhow, either of those options would probably be fine there. But once again, the education campaign I believe is very important in order to start pushing your leaders out faster. And basically, what you can do is there's some microing we can do that can improve the efficiency of the education campaign without having to pay the resource upkeep for it the entire time. Basically, we toggle it up on every single time we launch an agenda, which gives us the bonus EXP without much of the bonus cost. And I forgot to queue a research lab here. But yeah, we really want to make sure we're maximizing research, as this build really depends on the colonial centralization technology in order to function at all. And if you don't get it, you kind of lose a lot of the advantage of being teachers of the Shroud in the first place. And yeah, as you can see, we're kind of pushing to finish our first tradition tree pretty quickly, despite having dipped 2 into statecraft. And yeah, once again, I think we've only found 1 empire here, which is a bit unfortunate. I think by now we would usually have found more. I might have accidentally set the number of empires to not maximum, which would explain why. Either way, oh, I do not like that event. I forget which one is the correct thing to pick always. Anyhow, let's keep going out into the galaxy and looking for these extremely hard to find empires. I don't know why it's so hard. As you can see, we've covered a lot of space so far, but just nothing found. Yeah, this colony has 3 generator districts. This colony has, what's it called? 5, right? But this still has to be our energy planet, because this is the size 18 world, which we need for our food. I know it feels really bad. 3 energy districts is the bare minimum you could do for an energy world. But yeah, we're gonna have to make it work. And not only that, yeah, we're gonna have to deal with having less energy than we hope for. But that's okay. Hopefully, we can find some good mineral deposits. Without more good mineral deposits, this game will be quite difficult. if you're not getting at least like 30 or 40 minerals from space, uh, it will slow down our build quite a bit. So hopefully we can find some extra mineral deposits, and that might be our xenophobe faction spawning. Oh no, that was our, I don't know what faction that was. I forget what we had in the first place. So yeah, it feels so weird having this ocean planet here, but just not taking it. But alas, right, we want to show you guys what a kind of fair spawn would be. And most of the time you won't spawn with 2 ocean planets. Although a lot of the time you will spawn with another like close planet like continental or tropical, but even still that's not guaranteed. So I won't show you guys, and there's actually a lot of them around here. Pretty funny. And let's go ahead and continue to push deeper into space. Looks like we finally found what is probably another AI empire. So let's go ahead and assign our envoy to that. Hopefully these other AI empires have found another one. It's very unlikely that they will have by the time we make first contact, but it's always good to try to share comms with people you find to discover the whole galaxy as quickly as possible. And as you can see, we're also getting very close to finishing out our first tradition tree very quickly into the game. And also, what I would recommend doing is when these get cheap to launch, just go ahead and launch them. Once they're past halfway, they get much, much cheaper. And when they're around 900, 700 Unity, 800 Unity, that's a good time to launch them early. And we can get our Minister of Seas here, which is going to be a much more efficient way. It's going to be a very big efficiency boost to our consumer goods. As you can see, it went up by 5 just from that. And we're going to want to put in psionic theory as our next agenda. We basically want to click psionic theory whenever it's an option. It will let us research the psionic theory for free, stopping us from blocking our society research for an extended period of time. We forgot to prioritize our researcher jobs here, but we probably didn't lose too much. There's going to be a huge immigration push to this new planet, causing really massive pop growth. But that's okay. I'm going to take planetary build speed here. There's a good argument for corvettes or that kind of thing, but planetary build speed is something that is quite useful. Although our minerals probably won't be able to keep up with that. Yeah, especially with these relatively poor deposits that we found so far. Here's a 6 mineral system. 6 mineral systems are pretty good. I'm going to hire a second surveyor here, just so we can kind of find the high mineral systems as quickly as possible. Yeah, once again, high minerals is very, very important. If you guys recognize the names of the systems and know which ones to go for higher minerals, that could be a thing. I'm not even sure. Anyhow, yeah, I've seen people do crazy, crazy things. And there's so many things to learn in this game that, keep in mind, this is by far a non-optimally played playthrough, as I am not a very optimal player. I try to play well, right? But yeah, keep in mind that there are many, many better players who are much better than myself and can probably scale much, much harder. So yeah, just keep that in mind. As you can see, we don't have enough minerals to start this research lab. That is okay though. Yeah, so the immigration push is what makes it so hard to maintain enough minerals, especially when your deposits are as bad as the ones I have here. So most of your games will be better, especially since my homeworld had less minerals than normal. Alright, we did get an asteroid here, which is also annoying. It did spawn next to my starbase though, which is quite lucky because that means I think 1 corvette should be enough to knock out that asteroid before it hits my planet. And we're going to want to take Transcendent Learning as our first tradition to boost the leader XP. That is going to be very important for our build. And I'll probably take Adaptive Bureaucracy here. It does unlock more technology, but the other ones also kind of are just not very useful. So let's go ahead and send this corvette at this asteroid.
Anomaly detected.
And hopefully we can kill it before it hits our planet, and this will also give us some free minerals. So yeah, also let's remember to start this because we have been forgetting. And as you'll notice now, we are basically having no more unemployed plops, but our pops are still costing us the extra consumer goods. So very, very soon, we're going to want to go ahead and disable um, the utopian abundance on our main species. But as you may have noticed, we are unable to do that right now because it hasn't been 10 years yet. So once it's been 10 years, we're going to go ahead and change that. And this is finally a great system. Thanks to our Corvette, we don't really have enough to build it right away, but that's fine. We should get some free minerals from this. Alright, this asteroid is not taking a lot of damage. I don't think our starbase is firing at it anymore. Oh, I think I wasted that Corvette. I don't think it'll be enough. Oh well. I gotta stop being distracted by that and start to remember to build more research labs everywhere. And one thing you could do now is you could sell some food to make better economy. I don't really want to do that because we will need the food later. Though food is the easiest resource to produce with this build thanks to anglers. I really hope that asteroid dies. I just don't think it will, unfortunately. Or maybe it will. We're making decent progress, but it just doesn't look like enough DPS.
Anomaly detected.
And I mean, that's the moment where you wish you left your fleet home, right? But your fleet has been out exploring, trying to find new contacts, so it is how it is. Yeah, we don't want to lower our faction approval, so let's select that. Make sure to prioritize researchers as normal. We are starting to burn some, consumer goods at this point. So let's go ahead and build some agricultural districts. On this planet, this size 18 will be our agriculture world, our home world will be our forge world, and our other world will be our basic economy world. These options all suck. I also already forgot I was supposed to toggle on education campaign before I launched, and I forgot. And that is why this is a very difficult build to play. There is a ton of microwing. Now, I like to go departmental efficiency next. There's probably better options for better efficiency here. But departmental efficiency is not terrible, so it's not too bad. And we can go ahead and start to finish out the statecraft tree too. Yeah, so what we're going to want to do with this planet, now that we're about to get a 5th pop, is we're going to want to start transferring it into a generator world to help our basic economy, as you can see, which is really struggling. Oh, we did manage to kill the asteroid, I think.
Our presence in the galaxy,
which is a really nice injection of free minerals. A lot of pop-ups here. Go ahead and close most of those. Yeah, as you can see, our consumer goods right now is struggling, but this agriculture district is about to finish.
Construction complete.
And that should hold us over until we can disable utopian abundance. So like, as you can see, the timings are very, very close. So yeah, you gotta be like on top of your game while playing this build, or you could easily run into issues. And like, we forgot to turn on capacity subsidies too. I don't know how long that's been off. Right, there's just a lot of things to remember to do. And yeah, sorry if I'm not playing this optimally, but I'm trying to get most of the important ideas. Like, I forgot to turn crystalline sensors off too. Anyhow, we have found a good number of empires now, so that's not too bad, though we could use more. One thing I will do is whenever you run to a Veil, hire a leader you don't care as much about to send into it. Okay, this is perfect. So this is your first election. The first election is very important. The most important thing is you have a leader get elected that was not your original leader. In this case, a Minister of Defense is perfect. Focus on commanders as the highest priority, with researchers and then governors. as our priority. We really want 3 commanders on our council. And I don't know if picking options here is going to change the priority. So let's make sure we haven't messed anything up. Okay, this commander we just hired is now the favorite. I do want the higher level commander as the leader. So we'll go ahead and increase the support there. And we can go ahead and resume time. Now, of course, in the actual game, you won't be able to freeze time for something like that. But just for the sake of explanation, let's do it. Also, now we can go ahead and change the right of our species back to social welfare, and this will increase our consumer goods economy enough so that we won't have to focus on that anymore. We're also going to want to make sure to prioritize technician jobs on our generator planet and change the designation to generator world. And then we're going to want to reform our government. So this is a lot of clicks, and it's probably going to take you, if you don't pause, about a year's worth of time to do, unless you get really fast at these clicks. And we're going to want to go meritocracy here. Oh, wait, we can't do that yet until the election is done. Right. And right, the reason we want to change our government leader is so we can reform our government right now in 10 years instead of 20, which is a mechanic I did not know about until I saw somebody play this build, and I was like, wow, that is really genius. And as you can see, we're pushing about 229 research at year 10, which is not terrible. I've certainly seen better. I do want to go for food subsidies now in case we don't get that again. Sometimes that can be a very frustrating technology to get, which is very important for the alloy economy that we want later on. And once again, we only have two procs of crystal sensor left because I accidentally left it on. Once again, right, a lot of things to be careful about when playing this build. But yeah, I think let's do our level 3 commander. Now we have, I think we should have 2 commanders here. But we're about to have 3, so it's time to go reform our government. We're going to want to take meritocracy and oligarchic. And of course, we don't have enough unity, so we're going to have to wait a year. Or wait some time at least. There's a ruined interstellar assembly somewhere. Okay, nice. Yeah. What are we doing here? So, make sure to start up a research lab here as soon as that's available. And yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of micro to be done, but this is a really cool build because we're going to see if things go right, just the crazy amount of alloys we're going to be able to produce in just a little bit of time.
Anomaly detected.
Now, don't worry when you see negatives on energy credits as we're buying minerals, right? So if we don't have enough mineral energy credits, the buy simply won't go through, and we're not going to go into negative energy credits. For other resources, though, do be careful. And I think we have enough unity now to reform our government, so let's go ahead and do that. Once again, meritocracy, oligarchic. And basically what this unlocks is the very important principal instructor position, which can take a commander, which is good because we want high commander levels. A minister of defense, so we can train out more commanders. Minister of Seas to improve our consumer goods and food output, and a head of research, and basically just drop the head of state. And this is the council we're going to want to go with until we reform year 31 in order to start producing our alloy economy. And let's see if there's any good systems here. None in particular. One thing we can start to do about now is we can start to take the 3 mineral deposits. As in the long term, this is still beneficial to do so. The 2 energy credit deposits, if you want to micro it, are not really worth doing. But at some point, I'll probably just click select all. One thing we want to do is always select blue lasers when you get it as an option, unless something much more important is available, because blue lasers enables the most important weapon tech, which is disruptors. And one thing that disruptors allow you to do is it allows you to completely ignore shield and armor technology, because in multiplayer games, if you fight non-disruptor fleets with disruptor fleets, The disruptors will always win unless the enemy has shield or armor hardening. However, most people cannot get shield or armor hardening until year 40-45 at the
Construction
earliest,
complete.
which means for 10-15 year, usually longer period, disruptors are king. And disruptors, even if you have
Anomaly
no armor on your
detected.
ships, will beat laser fleets or autocannon fleets or whatever, right? Um, but other disruptor fleets don't care about how much armor you have, so it's actually an advantage to have a low armor and shield on your ships, which
Technology
makes your ships
discovered.
look weak when in fact they are quite strong and they're also cheaper. Um, since our fleet will most likely be Corvette, we can take the Corvette build patterns here. Also, it's just a cheap tech with a high weight to get that out of the way. Yeah, once again, there's not a lot of great mineral systems here. I don't want to take it unless it's a 6 or more mineral deposit system. One thing that's annoying is I have not completed any of these first contacts yet. Um, Probably if you're more
Spaceport
aggressive with
life
selecting options,
encountered.
it would be possible to be done now, but we're not doing that. Oh, I have had no envoys assigned. Whoops. That is my bad. So many things that can go wrong in this build, right? Is we haven't made a single first contact, so we're getting nothing from enmity. Ah,
Survey complete.
that is a pretty silly mistake indeed, but hopefully we can rectify that as soon as possible. Um, yeah. Actually, let's see. Let's get our capital upgrading. Um, yeah, like once again, right? It's not everything has to go perfectly. Oh, we did make contact with this empire. I didn't even notice that happen. And what we're going to want to do now is we're going to want to go into our diplomatic stance, antagonistic, and simply declare rivalry. Whoops, no.
Anomaly detected.
One thing you want to do first is offer a trade deal. Communications, see if they want to do it. Unfortunately, they don't even have any
Technology
communications,
discovered.
so there's no point to doing that. We can just declare rivalry. And 11 unity free per month doesn't sound like much, but it will really add up in the long term. Also, we did take xenolinguistics there because we want to hire a paragon if possible, as soon as possible. There's a lot of good options. And let's start this next generator district as soon as we can. Man, my voice is definitely drying out from talking so much. I normally do not talk this much in a day,
Survey
and I'm also a little
complete.
bit sick, so. And yeah, let's continue to move these fleets around, see if we can find some more empires. Yeah, unfortunately, I obviously forgot to increase the density of empires, which is why I'm flying around everywhere and finding almost nobody. I think I hired too many. Whoops. Let's go ahead
Anomaly
and stop
detected.
that. 100 unity wasted. Oh well, whoops. Small mistake there. Yeah, and because of the crystalline sensors, I can't explore further. I will say in a multiplayer game, when you've seen this many empires, you've most likely discovered almost everybody by sharing communications by now. So just keep that in mind. We do want to start prioritize farming soon as our food is burning down. Don't want to piss these empires off too much since it's you can get attacked, right? In multiplayer, you won't be able to get attacked because of peace timers usually. But in single
Technology
player, it's a little bit
discovered.
different, so can't showcase the build to exactly its full potential. We'll go ahead and take fusion power here. And yeah, once again, just we would normally be moving our commander ships farther out into the galaxy, but this is a pretty big galaxy with not a lot of players because of my silly mistake.
Survey
But this
complete.
also does represent a worst case scenario is when you don't get a lot of value from your enmity. So I guess we can see um, kind of the situation, how to deal with that situation, which is that there is enough leeway in this build for, kind of not best case things to happen, and we can still do really excellently. Okay, so if you get Settler as your first option for your, what's it called? Psionic Governor here,
Technology
one thing we
discovered.
want to do now is we want to put a maximum de-emphasis on artisan jobs, right? And change this to a Forge world which will increase our weight to get a forge-focused governor on our next roll. If we do not get forge-focused, it's not a terrible deal, unless we also don't get Shroud Preacher as a Destiny trait. If you don't, I think a Destiny trait is a level 8. When your leader levels up to level 8, they get a very powerful trait, and getting Shroud Preacher is the most important thing. But I don't believe there's a way to increase the odds of getting Shroud Preacher other than just by getting luckier. So hopefully we get it for this run so we can show you guys what that's like. If it doesn't happen, well, nothing we could have done about it. So, yeah, anyhow, as you can see, our unity is really bad. This is because we only have one empire to rival. We haven't even found another fallen empire. Normally, I don't think it's worth risking your commanders to explore deeper, but since I'm in such a bad position, I might do it. Yeah, it's a bit of a problem, to be honest, which is another reason we need colonial centralization for more leader capacity, so we can kind of hire more people just to send them out into the abyss to explore, to find more fallen empires or empires to rival. But I think, yeah, 3 is a pretty worst case scenario here, and we're only going to get 3, and 2 of them are going to be very late, so we're going to be very short on unity here. Most runs will have more unity than what you're about to see, so what we're going to do is we're not going to finish statecraft, and we're going to save up unity for psionics, which is okay, since the other 2 tradition trees are not as important as transcendent learning. As long as you have transcendent learning, it'll be okay. And as you can see, we're running quite low on consumer goods, so it's time to increase the farming districts on this world. Also, as you can see, we have some extra pops. So one thing we do want to do is, if possible, you want to deprioritize jobs that are like clerics and stuff, in order to force people into specialist roles as soon as they're available. But this could be finicky sometimes, so I'm going to leave that off for now. 313 research is basically approximately where the research stops getting much better. Only small upgrades to our capital are going to be done from here on out, basically, as we're not adding more research to any of our colonial worlds, as these really need to start focusing on bolstering up our basic economy, which, as you can see, is getting better. Yeah, these systems really suck, by the way. I don't see a single one which I really want, which means I'm just not going to take any of them, because it'll just increase our empire size without giving us much bonus. This 9 energy credits probably is worth taking. Later on, at least. This is a painful research here. I guess we'll take fleet capacity. We don't really need it. And yeah, this is the problem, right? Is for some reason the game just has a lot of annoyances trying to get them to work specialist jobs when they're available. But that's okay, as long as our economy is not going straight into the negative, that's fine. One thing you can do is you could hire a training, a trade leader to increase trade value, because anglers do produce some trade value, but it's usually not worth it. So probably just leave your other 2 worlds with no governor, especially since the Shroud governor is so much better than the other ones. I love the Shroud governor. He is righteous too, so you get no crime. It's just great. Anyhow, as you can see, we're starting to build up minerals. That is good. Let's go ahead and turn on education campaign as we launch Mind Over Matter. And yeah, as you can see, we're starting to get destiny traits. Now, is colonial centralization statecraft or new worlds? I think it's new worlds. So we don't want to take that. These other options suck. But, I mean, we don't plan to terraform any worlds, but we'll just take that. I think now is a good time to go into evolving society. Strong. You could also farm second strike for some more extra leader XP, but I really need the unity. So let's go ahead and take that. We finally get mineral subsidies too, so that's good. We'll finally be able to launch all 3 subsidies at the same time. As you can see, we have enough edict fund cap for that. Yeah, really unfortunate that I forgot to set this to the maximum density of AI empires to help us find more things to get free unity from rivalries. But as you can see, um, thanks to Spiritualist, our unity is not terrible anyway. It's not great, but it is what it is. One thing you'll notice too is that our happiness on our world is very good, so we don't have to be too concerned with that. And that's simply the result of having the kind of pleasure of what's it called, being social welfare and having all so many consumer goods. Will this make them angry? Okay, we made them very unhappy. Okay, oh well. And whatever. They probably have contacts, but they're suspicious with us, and I'm too lazy to fix that. So, boom, declare rivalry. Now, intuition is good. Once we get intuition, we can switch over this leader to investigating anomalies, and hopefully this will produce some research for us as well. Yeah, I think we should also stop taking tradition trees now, as we need to save up for in case we get colonial centralization on the next roll. In case we don't, it's a bit unlucky, but what can you do? One thing we can do for extra unity now is, it does feel bad, but you have to enable resettlement. And whenever you get to like 9 pops or something like that, what we can do is simply move over a pop from our homeworld and level up the place to level 10, and that will give us 2 jobs that help us produce extra, what's it called? Extra unity at a very high efficiency, since they're capital jobs. Let me think. Do they want to do this with this planet yet? Not really, because we don't have enough minerals, but as soon as we do, I'm probably going to do the same thing. Pop growth speed is fine now. It will branch out the number of tier 2 techs we can get, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and get this science ship to finish this research here. Oh no, this guy has what's it called? Intuition as well. So actually, let's get this science ship to finish this off. Should be a little bit faster. And hopefully I remember to keep microing that when it's done, because this is a great system. 3 alloys, 9 minerals, 9 energy credits. That is, of course, worth taking. So we'll go ahead and take that as soon as we can. Let's get our, what's it called? Construction ship to fly over there too. Did I have hydroponics farming? Okay, I do have hydroponics farming. So we could go ahead and start building up some star bases for some more hydroponics farming sites. One thing to keep in mind is there is a good argument for deleting the trade hub. I forgot to at the beginning of the game, and replacing the crew quarters with the hydroponics as soon as possible, but I'm going to rebuild this anyway, because crew quarters is now quite important for reducing fleet costs. So yeah, so as soon as you see exotic gases or motes, take them.
An alien empire is making contact.
Okay, can we share comms with these people? Offer trade deal, communications. Let's throw in some consumer goods to sweeten the deal. I just want to make sure they say yes. You don't need to give them that much. I don't even know if they have any comms, by the way. I might have just given them 200 consumer goods. I forgot to... Oh, yeah, they don't even have any comms, so that's my bad. I just gave them 200 consumer goods. Whatever. Just declare rivalry now. Whoops. Okay, and let's go ahead and move 2 pops over to this agri world and start that upgrade as well. Yeah, and as you can see, once our colony upgrades, we get a decent jump into our unity. As well as, of course, we now are producing 37 unity from rivalries, which is half as much as you can if you max that out. And this is some terrible research options. So I'm just going to research psionic theory, because we need to finish it at some point anyway. So why not do it now, I guess. Yeah, not the luckiest society tech, but often that does happen. And yeah, we're going to kind of play the line where that does happen, I guess. One thing we want to do also is we want to start replacing these research labs or these temples with research labs as well. Now that we have enough energy credits to do so, or not energy credits, minerals. And also, let's just build this last generator district, as we're gonna need to build up some energy credits because with only maximum of I think 8 technician jobs once we get a tier 2 energy grid, it's not a lot of energy.
Construction complete.
Uh, it won't be able to support a very big fleet. We'll need to take vassals and that kind of thing.
Technology discovered.
And let's go ahead and get the ship back to researching anomalies. Chemical plants, that's beautiful. We will probably skip this agenda once we get close. I forgot we had mining subsidies, so let's turn that on as well. As you can see, with the amount of clicks that we have to do to play this build, you can imagine how, with some optimizations, like how much more efficient this build could get if you really tried to max it out. And one thing I do want to do here is I want to be careful not to send this ship containing my good leaders into the abyss. So we'll leave them there for now. Is there a good way to switch their job, by the way? Like fleet management. Like, can I just like deassign them? I could swap them with somebody else, right? But can I deassign them? I don't actually know. Like, did they just swap them or did that deassign them? I think that deassigned them, right? Yeah. There's no longer a leader in there. Okay. Well, that's what we wanted because we don't want to make sure our good leaders aren't in harm's way. I always forget to do that. But very rarely do they get attacked in multiplayer games, if I'm honest. So, yeah, anyhow, yeah, I hate this. They always deprioritize the jobs I actually want. Deprioritize enforcers because we never want any enforcers employed. And one thing we do need is we're going to need an extra agri-district. We're running out of consumer goods again. And yeah, basically at this point, what we want to start doing with our, we're going to take Home Guard actually here and or Recruiter. Both are good. Home Guard, there's a good reason why you want it. This is for mid to late game. Recruiter is probably better earlier game, so let's take that. Get the sprawling slums here, and what we're going to start to do is we're going to start to build up our industrial districts on our home planet, as we're going to need those to a high extent very soon, and we're going to clear the blockers first, of course, because that's a good way to not delete our resource districts, which are still being used. So yeah,
Spaceborne life form encountered.
As you can see, our economy is not terrible now. I don't know what's the best option there. If you know, obviously you should select that. As we've kind of reached kind of a lull in the game where we're kind of more or less chilling. We're at this point just waiting for the colonial centralization tech to occur. If it doesn't, and sometimes it doesn't for a very long time, it can be very painful. And our empire size just jumped to 101. That really sucks because when your empire size is below 100, it is very cheap to skip agendas and very expensive afterwards. So we're gonna have to wait for the psionic theory to finish, or is this gonna finish before? Yeah, 14 months. So basically, a very similar time anyway. And because I haven't been playing it perfectly, our leaders are probably gonna be a little bit under leveled come year 30, but that's okay. Once again, right, I don't claim to be an optimal player or even close, right? There's plenty of ways to do much more than what I'm doing now, but I just want to show off the general idea of this build. Yeah, once again, we're just waiting for psionic theory now, because as soon as that's done in our technology, what is this? Express mail. I mean, I guess we'll take the researcher speed. The very small bonus there, very small. We do want to build this moat factory as soon as we can. Also, we do want to build a farm process building, so let's go ahead and queue that up and queue the city district. Once again, these are just more small details which I kind of forget to do from time to time. But yeah, if you remember all of them, imagine the power levels you'll manage to get. You'll basically be packs, and yeah, thank you for player packs. You never talk, but you innovating the meta for us, so thank you, because this build is basically copied exactly from him. Um, he's basically a guy who dominates Stellaris multiplayer lobbies to an unbelievable
Log
extent
updated.
for basically a single guy. Like, very impressive. So, yeah, a lot of ideas from this build are basically taken directly by seeing how he plays. And of course, he does it better than anybody, so um, would be nice to see his perspective. Hopefully, I can catch him streaming one day and record it and see exactly what's going on. And
Technology
at this point, I
discovered.
think what I'll do is I'll leave this on automatic, let it build up all these buildings. Yeah, we're quite negative on food now, um, but very soon we're going to start migrating pops to this planet here. Um, as this
Technology
planet will be our
discovered.
second planet to hit 25 pops. And no, we did not hit any good techs, so we'll just take this because it's the cheapest. Yeah, this is looking pretty unlucky so far. I mean, not pretty, it's only 2020. We have a few more good chances. We haven't hit any way to increase our technology rolls yet, which is pretty unlucky, but it's also because I haven't been managing my council as good as I could be. Um, like such as remembering to turn on an education campaign for every leader level up. I think I can afford to just leave this on now. It's a bit inefficient to do so, but it also helps with passive EXP and that kind of thing. So why not just leave that on now? Let's go ahead and launch this.
Technology discovered.
Let's go ahead and pick Mind Over Matter just because it's cheap, because we need to farm some levels. We have Recruiter here. Ooh, we just got a Paragon. Yeah, this is a decent Paragon. Good extra Unity. Um, I will take him and probably put him in charge of this world here. Yeah, a little bit of extra Unity never really hurt. I'll take Afterburners here. We probably
Log
won't use
updated.
Afterburners in our ship, because it's not too important, because kiting ships are quite rare these days. I'm sure they're probably viable to some extent, but they probably just somehow get owned by disruptors anyway, so. And we did get Forge Focused here. If you don't get Forge Focused, Settler is probably the best, or Distribution Manager. I personally like Settler, as it causes really high stability, which actually is a sizable boost to resources. One thing we also can do is we could replace this temple with another research lab for now, but then we have to delete it again and
Technology
burns a lot
discovered.
of minerals, so I'm not going to do that. And finally, we've hit it, Colonial Centralization. Pretty nice. Year 2021, I'd say, is just slightly luckier than average, um, which is really nice. Oh yeah, and one thing I forgot to do is we can just go into our psionics tree now. Um, yeah, this is the most important one here. Unlocking the Psi Corp building. And we'll probably just finish the psionic tree before we finish statecraft, because, um, well, the psionic tree has really good things we need to start as soon as possible, like breaching the Shroud. Where statecraft, yes, 25% agenda duration is extremely good, and the finisher of -5
Technology
empire
discovered.
size is nice as well. We don't absolutely need it. And destroyers are great, so we can go ahead and take destroyers. Remember, basically the only technology we want for our ships is more energy and
Construction
disruptors.
complete.
Disruptors for damage and more energy to power those disruptors. And if we can get tier 2 disruptors, which is sometimes
Technology
possible at year
discovered.
35, um, that would be really nice. So we have more research alternatives. Uh, keep in mind, if you want to get vassalized war goals on people, building ships with better armor is a good idea, as it just has more kind of score, like more like fleet power score, where building only strong weapons and nothing else is practically strong against other disruptors, but impractical in the sense that the game won't let you as easily declare tributary wars or that kind of thing. And let's go ahead and build our chemical plants too, as we're going to need that very, very soon. go ahead and continue psionics. Keep in mind, if we had 6 empires, oh, I never saw that we had this available. By the way, you can declare rivalry on fallen empires and nothing bad happens. So keep in mind you can't do this in multiplayer, but I don't have other empires to declare rivalries on, so just say we will not be bullied and you'll be fine. They won't actually attack. I'm not sure if they're supposed to attack. They probably are, but they won't. So on this other planet here, size 18 ocean world is I'll probably build gas refinery here. We do not need crystals until a little bit later, so we can hold off on that for now. As you can see, we're starting to make a pretty good economy here. Alright. Now, yeah, as you can see, compared to the beginning of the game has slowed down a lot. But this is every click build, trying to simulate multiplayer here, so we'll go ahead and just leave the game running as is. I'm going to make sure I did turn on education campaign every time I level these up. Keep in mind, one thing you can do is you can skip agendas. I haven't been microing this well, so I haven't been doing that, but especially when you're below 100 in empire size, we're not right now, it's always a good idea to skip agendas. If you're not under, don't worry about it.
Technology discovered.
Navy instructor is the best here. This is the best source of naval cap you can get in the game, basically. Now we get New World's research options, but I don't actually know what the best is here. I don't know. Society research, I don't like either of these very much, so I want materials research. That's why. And I don't want to lock that out.
Construction complete.
Sonic supremacy, I believe, is the best agenda now. And yeah. Do I want extra energy jobs? Not really. Though it could be helpful having extra energy jobs on our home planet after we delete all the districts. But politician, this will never be a counselor, so we won't worry about that. Probably it's either Corvette hull points or mining station output there. Not exactly sure which. Oh, colonial centralization is done, which is time to start our planetary capital, which is very nice. And this is where we're going to start to see the power of this build. As soon as we hit colonial centralization, the efficiency of our pops is going to skyrocket and our unity production is going to skyrocket, which is going to be really powerful for us. One thing I really hope, though, I think I'll take this just because it's cheaper. I really need to start rolling forge subsidies now. If we don't roll forge subsidies, not forge subsidies, I mean, sorry, mega forges as a technology, we're going to be in trouble. Which is why we really needed materials later. Hopefully I didn't skip one at some point. But yeah, this is why it's important to manage your council slightly better than I have, because otherwise your leaders will be a little bit under level for this time. It's probably best to be about level 6. At this time, where right now only my Minister of the Seas has really reached the level that they should be. We'll just keep taking recruiter, as we will need to hire a whole bunch of armies. Right, if you do ever want to invade somebody, you'll need a good number of armies, otherwise it'll be just super inconvenient to do so. And once this is done, our planetary capital and Cyclops, we're going to start building industrial districts, even though we're not employing any metallurgists right now. And basically the objective of that, right, is also we're working way too many anglers there.
Construction complete.
We do not need that many anglers. Also, I think we should move a couple pops to this planet here in order to work things like our chemist and our pearl diver job. One thing you can do if you do think your amenities is getting too bad is just pop a luxury residence. Never use pops to produce amenities. unless those pops are working ruler jobs, as it's just awful efficiency. Even Prius are not great. They produce
Technology
2
discovered.
amenities and 10 uh, unity, where rulers produce 3 amenities and 10 unity, which is 50% more amenities, right? Which is great.
Technology discovered.
Um, so yeah, Prius aren't bad, but it's usually not worth a whole building slot. Oh, this is tough because both of these techs are super important. To be safe, I'll pick disruptors, though honestly, energy power grid could be considered to be the better choice there. We're gonna take. This is a tough choice. Uh, I think I might literally take fusion missiles because we can get away um, with having no star holds and just using multiple star bases. And I completely forgot to build a hydroponics farming bay here, which is really funny to be honest, because I built that so long ago. Um, right, but yeah, you can get away with using multiple like star holds for shipyards, but you cannot survive without forges, um, at least not efficiently. So we're gonna try to roll that forge tech, even if that means researching unneeded cheap technology for quite a long time. Now, one thing we're going to start to do now is we need to start building up these planets. Basically, the reasoning is not because we need the extra, consumer goods and food, though it is really nice to have a buffer once we switch to an alloy economy, but it's because we need to get this planet to 25 population in order to build a Psycorps there as well. And this, what's it called, temple, will be replaced with an alloy building as soon as I roll this stupid technology for forges, which can sometimes take a really long time. And also, if you guys know, does having a forge building built increase your chance
Construction
of rolling the
complete.
technology? I'm not actually sure.
Technology
Anyhow, I
discovered.
seem to hit it just fine without doing so I don't think it's important. Here we're going to take civilian fabricators. Of course, this isn't forges, which kind of sucks, but this will also enable us to get
Technology discovered.
industrial subsidies, which is an important tech to have. I think fleet traditions here is the best for the increased starbase efficiency. Our Psycorps here is also almost finishing up, and we're gonna see how awesome that building is once what's it called, that is done. So to keep an eye on our resource numbers right now, especially Unity and even research. And once this building is done, we can see how much these things improve by one building, which uses just 2 pop jobs as well. Yeah, and as you can see, we haven't discovered much of the galaxy, but hey, we ran out of crystals, and we don't want to. I've been lazy about moving my ships out because I've been talking so much, and I probably would have forgotten anyway. Do we have an extra leader capacity now? Yeah, we do, so we can go ahead and kind of keep exploring
Council
deeper
agenda available.
with just the
Construction
cost of 2
complete.
unity in case this ship runs into like a marauder or something, or amoeba or something, and just dies. We won't feel too bad about it. And did we finish our gas plant? Yes, we did. So we're now producing gases, motes. We do want to get a crystal lab up soon, but once again, that can wait until we get like tier 2 disruptor or something, because otherwise we won't even need crystals. So, are we researching disruptors right now? Oh, yeah, we are. So,
Technology
it's pretty
discovered.
unlikely we'll get tier 2 in time. Okay, well, we missed again. Space torpedo. Oh, whatever. We'll just bite the dust. We need Starhold. Starhold is good anyway. Hopefully we hit Forge soon. Like, I really don't want to research torpedoes, and, wow, it's so annoying. Yeah, it's really nice when one of your leaders rolls the, what's it called, materials trait. Unfortunately, we missed it, so that is okay. And are we on, why is this so cheap? 1400? It's because there's only 16 months left. We just let that wait out, and our Psycorps is done. And look at that. Let me employ this last guy here, and just from that one building, our Unity went up like what, 60? Yeah, our Unity went up 60 and our research went up 20, and just by making the rest of our pops more efficient. And that's kind of the amazing power of Psycorps buildings, which is why we want to max out the number of those we have. So now that we've done that, um, Let's see, how many agriculture districts do we have here? Do we have enough to accommodate 25 pops? This would be a bit early to get our second Psycorp building up, so we'll just build up a few more minerals before we do that. Have we cleared all the... We have cleared all the, what's it called? Let's go ahead and excavate our ecology sites now. Yeah, I think we burned all the anomalies now, so let's just go ahead and survey more. I guess one thing you can do if you're really lazy is this, and they'll always find something to do until they get canceled and you have to go reset them. But yeah, until then, we're good on that front. Oh yeah, one thing we want to do is prioritize these until before all our jobs turn into pearl divers, which can be pretty bad. But luckily, this is 8 or 9 pearl divers is the perfect amount, so nothing to worry about there. And now that we have 1.3k minerals, it's a perfect time to do this. So we'll move all our extra pops from our capital. A couple extra pop. Oh, I did not mean to move a researcher there.
Technology discovered.
Let's just all right, we're employing an enforcer now. I don't want them to migrate back out by being unemployed. So let's just employ them. We'll hopefully remember to unemploy them later. Nothing good here, unfortunately. So we'll just take a cheap option to recycle the technology. And we can go ahead and breach the Shroud. Now this will cancel our technology here, but I think it's always better to breach the Shroud as soon as possible because the cost of it scales with empire size. So make sure to go into your situation log and start this research right away before empire size starts to get large and make it really, really expensive in order to breach the Shroud. One thing we can do here is we can increase the amount of research, but given I've hit all the technology I really want to hit, except for forge subsidies, I'm not going to click it just yet, as it won't help us hit forge subsidies in the short term, and we won't have enough of certain resources that we need. And it's time to start building industrial districts too. As you can see, our mineral income is now really pathetic, but this will be fixed as soon as some of the buildings we need here are done. Oh, we can unemploy this enforcer. As once this planetary capital is done and we build the Psycorps, we can go ahead and move some pops back out to kind of balance our economy out a bit better than what it is right now. We definitely don't need to be producing 233 food yet. We will want to soon, though. I think once again we'll just mine over matter because it's cheap and farm some more research for our counselors. We're now hitting level 6 and our official here is getting very close to his destiny trait, and we'll see what we get. He'll hit it around year 30, which actually isn't as late as I thought. So I'm only probably about one refresh of this behind. See the cold fusion power here or basic combat rolls. I don't know which is better. I'll just pick one. We are going to get our planetary capital here done soon as well. And yeah, as you can see, our economy, right, is just hanging in there. We're building up a good amount of moats, which is good for if we ever do decide to actually roll forge subsidies. Did we ever roll the +1 research options? I think we did, right? 2 months until we get to see if we actually get forges for 2230. If we don't, oh well, we tried. You know what I mean? Like, we really did try.
Technology discovered.
And we have not done it. We'll just take coil guns because it's cheap. And try again. Man, this is rough though. Normally it's not so hard. Oh, we shouldn't start this because we're gonna need money to build our what's it called? Psycorps very soon as well. But you guys kind of see the power of this build, right? We're at only 65 pops. We are 3 planets, none of which are particularly good planets. A 14 and an 18 is a little bit below average, but it's definitely still fine. We only have 3, what's it called, energy districts and 2 mining districts, but since we're going to use food to produce alloys, we don't need, what's it called, any more of those, right? Yeah, it's just a very, very efficient build. which also minimizes the maximum like unluckiness you can get, which I think is an extremely underrated part of this. Let's relocate a few pops now, just a couple of them back to our other worlds to kind of get better basic economy going. Let's employ like at least one mineral worker just to kind of speed up the minerals a little bit. I do prefer energy credits once again because we don't really have enough energy districts. So, yeah. And for the second, what's it called? Ascension perk, we're really late for it, but I think one vision is
Technology
still the best,
discovered.
which will increase our unity, decrease our amenities usage, which increases our stability just a little bit, which helps our general economy out. There's probably many good options there. Imperial Prerogative to drop your empire size back below 100 and to be able to cheaply refresh agendas is another good idea. But once again, not 100% necessary. I'm wondering if I should just replace this with the damn, what's it called? Alloy foundries and just hope to God that I get the roll
Technology
soon. But
discovered.
purification hubs, we don't need purification hubs. We're gonna go with armor because it's cheap. Oh my God, yeah, when you don't roll materials, governor, it can be so painful to try and hit this forged technology. I mean, normally you would have tier 1 forges by now.
Council agenda ready.
I will say that, but our colonial our colonial centralization role was not terrible, so we can't even complain. And yeah, once again, we don't get the option for materials, but we do get Inquisitor, which can make it easier. Right, as if once we get 5 research options, if we're still missing forge subsidies on every roll, that would really suck. And yes, playing this build does feel a little bit like rolling the research dice quite a bit. But it is one of the stronger builds available, regardless of that fact. And as you can see, 173 food, 81 consumer goods. Like our basic economy is already doing quite well. One thing I'm going to start to do now, though, is I'm going to start to upgrade these in preparation for militarizing very soon. Yeah, once again, this build also doesn't leave you with long to militarize at all, so it's good to be ready for that. And let's just employ more researchers for now. We're close to 500 research year 30, which is a good number. Most builds can't produce this much research, and especially not the amount of alloys that we are about to, even despite the fact that we kind of missed on a lot of things that we needed.
Technology discovered.
What's the best option here? Probably fire control. It's cheap. Get it rolling. See if we can roll a lucky disruptor before year 35.
Special project complete.
Reach into the Shroud, form a covenant. And once again, we have missed forge subsidies. So I would say that's a little bit less lucky than average, but hey, you can't be lucky on everything. I'm sure if you're smart or something, there's probably ways you can actually increase the odds of getting forge subsidy. Maybe not, I don't know. Good players seem to hit it more often than I do, so must be a way they do that. So yeah, we're going to need to reform our government as soon as we're given the option to here, as we need to start producing alloys ASAP. Let me know, by the way, if there's a good way to start producing alloys earlier than when you're allowed to reform your government for the second time. Like, if you hold an emergency election, does that count? And get a new leader? Like, I'm not exactly sure.
Technology discovered.
One thing I will do here is discoveries and proclaim religious revelation. Produce some for unity there. Here, a diplomatic weight. This is kind of one where you just take whatever you need. Base intel level, sure. Edicts funds. We don't really need more, but it's nice in case we have to reform our government a little bit. We might be over the cap, right? So yeah, at this point, we're just kind of preparing for what's about to happen. One thing I do want to do is I'm running out of space for food almost. 15K, that's gonna be full really soon.
Special
So
project complete.
I mean that's okay though. That's okay. We will need extra food. I wish I did have what's it called, a storage facility somewhere. But as you can see, I haven't taken that many systems, so I guess it's time to just start building a couple systems here and there. And we got Shroud Preacher. Okay, well, if you hit miss Forge Subsidy and hit Shroud Preacher, it's not too bad. So let's go ahead and start switching to a military economy.
Special project complete.
Oh, no, we don't want to do that yet. I forgot. We haven't reformed to Catalytic yet, and we don't want to burn all our minerals. So let's go ahead and get those guys working jobs back like normal. Here, we probably want to build a mineral purification hub to increase the efficiency of that. And let's see who's not our main leader. Actually, we just want to make sure we elect any commander, basically. Let's just elect our current one because they're the highest level, I think. And now we can reform government into catalytic processing, just making sure I'm not misclicking there. And what we're going to want to do for this, we're going to want Minister of Seas and our good old Shroud Governor. Catalytic processing, our highest level scientist. Head of research, our second highest level scientist. And Minister of Defense, any of our guys. But I think I prefer... they're actually almost the same. So I think we want the Edict capped here. So yeah. With that being done, now we can go ahead and change our government type. Not our government type, our economic policy here to militarized economy. Go back to our home world. Maximum priority on what's it called, technicians, and watch our alloy output. Now, right now, we're not going to be too great because we did not finish building enough mineral districts, unfortunately, or not mineral districts, alloy districts. That is a bit of a skill issue, but that is okay. But yeah, as you can see, we did produce too much food, so let's go ahead and like sell like 1,000, so we're not just burning it. At least we got something for having too much food and nowhere to store it. Bit of a mistake once again. A lot of optimizations can be made. Let's go ahead and make sure 6 shipyards, 6 to 8 shipyards is a good amount. Some could argue more. Our naval capacity is pretty mediocre since we only have 1 Navy instructor. But we can take a plus 100 naval cap from our tradition tree as soon as that's done in 9 months. Yeah, with that last tradition tree, oh, that is a terrible leader trait right there. Oh yeah, one thing we can do is we should move couple anglers, couple basic resource producers. Let's prioritize these.
Technology discovered.
Let's see, home guard, recruiter. Let's just gale speed is also extremely good, but they did nerf it a bit.
Survey complete.
Let's take gale speed once because I do want gale speed. It's very good for ships to be extra quick. So, oh, you know what I forgot to do? It's very silly of me. I forgot to click this. Yeah, a little bit distracted once again when that option became available. But yeah, at this point, right, we just want to start to build up our military economy as fast as possible. I don't know why I'm working minor jobs. Really don't want to work minor jobs at this point as we don't need them. We have too many farmer jobs still.
Special project complete.
Wow, we have swarmer missiles. Well, I don't think swarmer missiles are as good as disruptors, so I won't take that. Still no forge plants, right? But even without the forge plants, we can kind of see exactly like how the crazy amount of alloys we can produce anyway. We're already at 100. Let's go ahead and take, what's it called? Galactic Force
Council
Projection.
agenda
This will
available.
kind of give us the naval cap we really need. And let's go into our ship designer as it's time
Construction
to build
complete.
our ships. This probably our best option here is just destroyers. As you can see, we have very low
Construction
level armor and
complete.
shields. Don't really worry about that. I do think afterburners are better than auxiliary fire control for disruptors, just to
Technology
kind of close the
discovered.
gap between any long range ships a little bit faster. Picket computers are the best. Let's make the correct theme for our build. And well, we're ready to militarize as soon as we want to click the button. Now, 127 alloys isn't exactly great. Keep in mind, we did whiff on the forge subsidies completely. But regardless of that, I mean, we're still able to match other non-psionic builds. If you do have forge subsidies, you'll be pushing, or not forge subsidies, the forge technologies, you'll be pushing 250 alloys by now if you have tier 2. But once again, like as soon as we get a few more industrial districts up, which we can definitely afford to do, we just kind of forgot to queue them in time thanks to recording video and me being a bit of a silly
Special
player.
project
Eater
complete.
of Worlds. Eater of Worlds is not a great covenant. Um, I would usually just skip it. The problem with Eater of Worlds is you have to be in war at all times, which means you basically should be a crisis player or don't take it and try to get something else. Um, I think all the other covenants are basically auto takes. Um, there's also one called End of Cycle, which is very fun. I'll let you guys discover that in case you happen to roll it. But yeah, this is the build. Let's go ahead and speed up time a little bit here just so I can kind of show you guys the output once we build a few more of these forge buildings. As you can see, we can definitely afford it, right? We are producing
Technology
more than we really
discovered.
need. We can, of course, relocate some farmers back if we need to later. And we finally got the forge technology. Look at how many modes we have. 404, just waiting for it. Such a just cheap tech too. 2,000 research. The weight on it is just so low, which I think is a really hilariously um, kind of unbalanced way of having that in the game because of the importance of that weight versus the tech weight is something that is really crazy, right? And if you wanted to start building
Survey
fleets,
complete.
this is the latest time which you could possibly start. Let's just do it because why not? Also, this says 7.8k. In practice, this will be much stronger. Oh, one thing I forgot to do, and I completely forgot, is I forgot to build crystals. Synthetic crystal plants are very important for when you get into war, is you can, basically the only important combat edict for disruptor fleets is focusing crystals. So, of course, you do need some crystals to run that edict. So, yeah. And wow, that technology will be done in just 2 months. So, hopefully, we won't be able to get the plant upgraded by year 2025, but
Technology
we can kind of
discovered.
see the effect. So, yeah, we're up to 167 alloys. Once again, a good player could probably have this much earlier, but I am not a good player, so just a player who has a decent idea of how to play this very, very powerful build. And yeah, keep in mind, like this is with the tech nerfs, so of course you'd probably be able to achieve better numbers before the tech nerfs, but ever since those happened, right, this is probably the strongest non-clone army build. Clone army can obviously play this build exactly the same, except with clone armies, which is going to be crazily strong. So I find that this normally kills your leader more often than it does anything good, but let's just see what happens. And they're dead. So yeah, there you go. That is one reason to never really click that thing. It almost always kills your governor, but I just kind of want to see what happens. It's pretty funny though. Let's go ahead and elect. Sure, you're hired. Yeah, so don't click that, guys. Don't click that. I don't know if there's a chance it doesn't kill you and you get something good from it. But yeah, usually just back out if you see that.
Technology discovered.
Or maybe there's a way to do it properly. I just don't know what it is. So if you guys know, let me know. For the next traits, you can take whatever you need. Supremacy is good. Prosperity
Technology
is good if you want to be
discovered.
more peaceful. And what's it called? Unyielding is also extremely good if you want to be defensive and also produce free unity from armies. Once you can take
Special
reanimators later.
project
Um,
complete.
the continuation for this build is you basically go reanimators and you take unyielding and you produce free unity from armies, which is a great way to continue tradition picks. And we can kind of see the power of this build here. 220 on alloys, year 35. With the Giga Forges, you would be at something like 300, close to 300 alloys, 450 research, tons of extra rare resources, only 78 pops. And yeah, that's how you do it. Once again, you can go ahead and just reinforce your fleet. You could support quite a bit more fleet by selling alloys if you want. And yeah, this is what I would consider to be the meta build. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.